Welcome back to the Morning Kickoff Show. I'm your host, Matt Witt, and after the Minnesota Vikings blew the Green Bay Packers out of Minnesota all the way to the moon this last Sunday on the game of the week, the Minnesota Vikings have jumped 13 spots in NFL's recent power rankings, jumping from the 20th spot, which was disgraceful, to the 7th spot, which is respectful. Now, it has only been 1 week, so this is probably going to be the most improved we will ever get from the entire season. And before this season started, I mentioned how the NFL was spitting in the Vikings' face by giving him the 20th ranked spot. And I was saying, you know what? I like it. I'm fine with that. Continue to doubt us. Keep that energy, NFL. Continue to say that Kirk Cousins is a bottom half of the league quarterback. Continue to say that the Vikings are a mediocre to bad team. Keep that energy. Nope. It looks like the world has finally caught up. Us Vikings fans knew how good this offense was when we revolved the offense around Justin Jefferson. It looks like the NFL has finally realized how great this offense really is. Looking at the top 10 ranked teams in the NFL right now, you have 5 AFC and 5 NFC teams, with the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs being the heavy favorite for the 1 and 2 spot. The Kansas City Chiefs just destroyed the Arizona Cardinals. I believe it was like 44-10 or whatever it was. I don't know. They killed them. Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs ranked as the 2 best teams. Outside of that, you have obviously Tom Brady and the Buccaneers ranked number 3, LA Rams and LA Chargers ranked 4 and 5, with Baltimore Ravens, Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, Cincinnati Bengals, and Philadelphia Eagles in the next 5-tier teams. This feels so great for the Vikings to finally not prove the world wrong quite yet. I mean, it has only been 1 week, but see the improvement from this last season. And you can say the last 5 seasons from the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, we haven't changed the roster completely. All we did was change the coaching staff completely. And this goes from being a mediocre to bad team the last few seasons to the 7th best team in the league after the first week, jumping 13 spots above the Green Bay Packers, who we just destroyed, who somehow are still ranked 8th. You know what? It's fine. We'll let it be, because obviously it's only been 1 week and it's hard to actually make a list like this. I do like how they have the Baltimore Ravens ranked number 6, because that is my sleeper team. I mentioned how I have the Ravens in the Super Bowl this year. Probably going to be wrong there. I just like to make a little bold predictions. But still, with that being said, who are the Baltimore Ravens going to face in the Super Bowl? If you see here, there are 5 NFC teams who I feel like we are in the same tier with in the NFC. And this might be me just being a little biased here, but when you're looking at the Buccaneers, the Rams, the Vikings, Packers, Eagles, who are the other 5 teams, the other 4 teams in this list, I feel like we are in the same tier with all of these guys. It's not like the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs, who absolutely destroyed their opponents in week 1 on both sides of the ball. You're looking at a Minnesota Vikings team that is one of the best teams looks like one of the best teams in a wide open conference right now. Meaning we have a path to the Super Bowl looking at this. Now, in my opinion, we are obviously not the best team in the league. I'm going to be completely honest. I have to see more, especially when you're looking into the secondary. However, with that being said, when you're looking at this offense, this is a Super Bowl offense we have with Kirk Cousins starting under center. We have an improved offensive line. We are an explosive offense who is willing to take risks on 4th down. We have an explosive offense who just absolutely got the better of the Packers in all 4 quarters, despite the Packers being ranked in the top 5 defenses in the league. This is a Vikings offense. This is a Vikings team who is completely different than we were in the past, jumping 13 spots in the power rankings. And we knew 20th was a spit in the face to the Vikings organization. I like the 20th ranking personally, because like I said, we can only go up from there. We might end up having a pretty disappointing season. It's very possible. This is the Vikings team we're talking about. We might have a disappointing season, but there is no way we are going to be ranked below the 20th spot, because it feels like most years the Vikings end up finishing below where their expectations were. If our expectations were that low, if the NFL set the expectations that low, I mean, we can only go from there. And putting us up 13 spots, what improved? What did they see? Like I mentioned, this Minnesota Vikings offense was great. But we knew the Vikings playmakers were great. We knew Kirk Cousins can make a play. What we didn't know is how good this offensive line was going to be. And I just have to put some respect on the Vikings offensive line. The PFF grades have showed respect to this Vikings offensive line. This front five did a great job protecting for Kirk Cousins, at least as good of a job protecting for Kirk Cousins as you can against the Green Bay Packers, who have a great pass rushing team with obviously Kenny Clark, Preston Smith. They have Rashawn Gary, Devondre Campbell. Sometimes they'll do some safety blitz with Adrian Amos. Maybe Darnell Savage gets in the mix. I mean, they're a great defense. We have to give credit where credit is due. But we got the better of that defense in all aspects of the game, in the passing game, in the running game, in the protecting game. With our average offensive line having a PFF grade above 70. When was the last time you could say that was the case? And it should be a lot higher. It's just Garrett Bradbury is bringing that down a little bit. Now, I'm not the biggest on PFF grades, but I have to put that here because I can't show you guys the tape that I'm talking about. If you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about here. I can't show you the tape. I don't have the rights to that, but our offensive line did a great job. Ed Ingram in his rookie debut had a 79.3 PFF grade. Now, that came by kind of a surprise. A lot of us remember the play where he got forklifted into the only sack allowed in this game, I believe it was. Christian Darrisaw, solid. Christian Darrisaw's the size of a planet. This guy is 6'5", 315 pounds, something like that. He is a massive frame. I don't know how anybody is going to go through this guy. You can't go through Darrisaw. You have to go around Darrisaw. Ezra Cleveland has done a great job at the left guard position. Brian O'Neill is Brian O'Neill. Realistically, looking at our offensive line, we could be looking at a future all-pro offensive line right here. Now, so we have to see a lot more. Like I said, this offense is very young. This entire offense is very young. So we have to continue to see more, and we have to see a lot more on the defense. Looking at this Vikings defense, the defense might end up being a problem. We have to see a lot more. I feel like I'm seeing Minnesota Vikings fans overvaluing this Vikings defense right now. Let's not forget we were playing the Packers offense without both of their starting tackles and arguably their best receiver. And we saw the difference in this game. I mean, Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter were in the face of Rodgers all game long. They absolutely destroyed this Packers protecting offense in the offensive line and the running backs trying to protect for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we were in the face of Rodgers all game long. And this is not a knock on this Vikings defense. I am just saying we have to see more before we can rank the defense as high as some people are ranking our defense. With that being said, Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show did mention how he was impressed by this Vikings defense. He was. They were in the face of him all game long, and he mentioned he name dropped a few players, that being Zadarius Smith, his former teammate, Danielle Hunter, who were obviously rushing him all game long, and then you also had Harrison Smith, who he will always mention Harrison Smith. I feel like Aaron Rodgers' least favorite player to play is Harrison Smith because he has been 11 seasons of dominance in the secondary and has caused a headache for Aaron Rodgers. Harrison Smith, if you don't believe he's a Hall of Famer at this point in his career, I want whatever you are smoking, because Harrison Smith has been consistently a top 5 safety throughout the entire career he's been in the league. That's 11 seasons. And he picked off Aaron Rodgers in the first game of the game. I want to actually Google how many times Harrison Smith has picked off Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers does not like playing Harrison Smith, and I believe Rodgers believes that he should be in the Hall of Fame, just like most of us Vikings fans do. With that being said, this is not a knock on the Vikings defense. Vikings defense obviously objectively did an outstanding job looking at the defensive front and in the pass rushing specifically. You can say into the secondary as well. Let's not forget, this is the Packers offense that we're talking about here. This is the Packers wide receiving core that we're talking about here. The Packers offensive line without two of their best players on their offensive line. So we have to see a lot more before we can rank the Vikings defense as high as we are ranking them. But with how good our offense is, the Vikings can be a Super Bowl team regardless of how their defense looks. I'm sorry for a lot of you guys out there, but the saying about defense wins championships is dead. Look at these top 5 teams, the top 10 teams in this power rankings. How many teams are there because of their defense? How many? Maybe the Ravens. You can say the Ravens. Outside of that, maybe the Rams. I mean, they have 2 of the best defenders in the league. And then how many teams are there because of their offense? The Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, they're there for both offense and defense. The Chargers, absolutely. The Vikings. The Packers, the Bengals, the Eagles. Look at how many teams are there because of their offense, including the top 2 teams, the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. Buffalo Bills have a great defense. No disrespect to their defense, but let's be honest, if it wasn't for Josh Allen and that passing offense, they would not be first on this list. Defense is important, but you can get around defense by being in a shootout with every other team. Look at how the Kansas City Chiefs have operated over the last 4 or 5 seasons. They just outscored their opponents. Remember that game where they played the Rams and it was like both teams were in the 50s or something like that? Defense is very important. I'm just saying it's not going to be the end-all be-all if this defense does not live up to the hype that a lot of us are giving them. But with that being said, Vikings jumping 13 spots in the power rankings, hats off. We knew it was going to be great. We knew we were going up from the 20th spot. After 1 week, did we expect to jump 13 spots in the power rankings? I don't know. I would like to still be the 20th ranked team in the league because, like I mentioned, continue to doubt us because we will continue to prove you wrong, NFL. We will continue to prove you wrong, opposing NFL fan bases, because this Vikings team, we know how great they are. We have seen how great they are. We know the talent that we have. Minnesota Vikings, 2023 Super Bowl. We will be there. Let me know what y'all think.